95% of car flippers are buying the wrong cars. They overpay, spend a ton of time fixing it, and still hardly make a profit. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly which cars will make you the most money and which ones are going to destroy your profits. When I started, I'd buy any car that was a good deal, but after 6 years of flipping cars, I learned that not every deal is worth buying. First of all, there's 5 types of cars you shouldn't be buying, starting with number 1. Don't focus on a specific niche. In any business, a common piece of advice is to niche down and focus on very specific problems. In this case, that'd be flipping a car like a certain type, like if you were to focus on only Toyotas or trucks or cars with bad transmissions. This is what most flippers will end up doing. They'll pick a type of car, think they can make more money with only focusing on this car, or they'll just pick one that they like. And then after a few flips, they realize the problem with this method. They end up spending weeks to find their ideal car, and once they end up selling it, they make the same profit they would have if they would have flipped any other car. You're just gonna miss out on all the other deals that are out there. So it's best not to do this, especially when you're starting out. The second type to avoid is salvaged or badly crashed cars. I know a lot of flippers who are buying salvage cars because they're so cheap. The problem is, almost all of the time they end up spending more to fix it than they originally thought. It's salvaged for a reason. And then it's finally fixed and they end up having the car for sale for weeks because nobody wants to buy a salvaged car. And the people that do want a huge deal for it. So it's best to not focus on cars that have been in bad accidents. Number 3, no electric cars. This one's more of a personal thing, I guess. I just don't like dealing with them and I'd rather stick to gas cars, so that's what I do. The fourth is no manual cars. They just don't sell as well. Not many people know how to drive manual, and the people who do would rather just not drive a manual because automatics are so much better. This means when you buy one to flip, you're gonna have a hard time selling it. There is one kind of manual that are worth buying, and that's sports cars. They sell quick, and a lot of the time they sell for more money than the automatic version. But if a car you're looking at falls under any of these categories and it's an insane deal, it's worth making an exception once in a while and buying it. Like, if it was $500, it's probably worth buying. The goal with flipping is not to buy a car you think is cheap or risk your money on every one you buy. You're buying a car that you'll know you'll be able to flip quickly and consistently for a good profit. That way it takes the risk out of flipping and turns it into a real business. The last type you shouldn't buy is expensive cars. It's an unnecessary risk to buy a car for $20,000 and hope to make a couple $1,000 profit on it. You can make the same amount of profit on one that's 10 times as cheap. So there's 4 things I look for when buying a car to flip. The first one is what most flippers end up taking years to learn. A while back, I bought a Range Rover for $16,000. Put about $400 into it and listed it for sale. After about a month of reposting the listing constantly, it sold for $18,500. You may think that sounds good. Who wouldn't want a $2,000 profit? But the problem is that the entire month, most of my money was tied up in the car. That meant I couldn't flip any more cars and really had nothing to do while I waited for it to sell. Every day that passed, I was stressed it wouldn't sell. And when it finally sold, I felt like I just made $2,000, which I did. But it took an entire month to do. That comes out to like $66 a day. Doesn't sound too good anymore, does it? If I would have bought a $2,000 car instead, I'd have been able to resell it within a few days for $4,000. Then I could do another and another, easily flipping over 5 cars that month, making 5 times the profit. Now, I mostly stick to cars under $5,000 because they make the same amount of profit and take much less time to sell. There's simply more people looking for them, they're easier to find, they're less stressful, and every part of flipping them is just better. It's common to want to start flipping cheap cars and work your way up to cars worth tens of thousands of dollars, but if you just stick with the cheap ones, in the long run, you're gonna make more money. Almost every flipper, and even dealers, are gonna agree that more expensive cars usually aren't worth the headache. So just stick to flipping cars under or around $5,000. But if you don't focus on the next thing, you're gonna end up with tons of problems. And this is a hard one for me to follow. Think of it like this. If you were to buy a car, you'd wanna get it for a good price. But you wouldn't wanna buy it if it's got all sorts of problems, has been driven for hundreds of thousands of miles, and isn't in the best condition. So when you're selling a car to someone, they're gonna be thinking the same thing. That means when you're buying a car you're planning on flipping, look for cars under 200,000 miles. Any more car and almost nobody wants to buy them. They've got all sorts of problems and are usually pretty beat up. Yes, the point of flipping is getting rid of problems and making it look almost new, but on cars with this many miles, it's almost impossible to fix all the problems because they have so many. Even if the car's perfect, someone's much less likely to buy it since it's been driven for that many miles, meaning it's likely going to break down soon. All flipping these cars is going to do is make you less money, and you're going to be waiting longer for them to sell. So when I'm looking for cars to flip, I aim for cars under 200,000, preferably somewhere around 100 to 150,000 miles. These cars are the best since they have some problems to fix up, but not too many. And fixing a few problems like this is good because it increases the car's value, meaning you're making more profit on it. And the mileage isn't too high to where it scares away the buyers. The reason this can be hard to follow is cars with 200,000 miles are such good deals. You can find them for cheap, but almost all the time you go see them in person, they're in much worse condition than they seemed like on the listing. Most people are completely fine buying a car at 150,000 miles, but once it starts getting closer to 200,000 miles, they start to get scared. But don't buy cars with 50,000 miles or less. Cars without much mileage on them are harder to find for a good deal since sellers are usually pricing them at what they're worth, so there's not really any profit you can make if you buy it. And they have less problems you'll be able to fix up to increase its value. Plus, it's just hard to find cars with low mileage under $5,000. So all you do is focus on cars with less than 200,000 miles. But if you aren't looking for the next thing, you're going to end up not being able to make a profit. The third thing we'll be looking for in a car is the most important of them all. I used to help out a guy who was flipping cars, and the first thing I noticed was that he was taking too long to fix up his cars. And the problem wasn't that he was slow, it was that he was buying cars with way too many problems, or just huge problems like needing a new transmission. And he knew how to do the work. He's worked on cars his whole life, and he was able to do major repairs pretty easily. This led him to think that doing these repairs are what will make him the most money in flipping. The thing is, all the skills he learned of fixing complex problems don't really matter, because the best cars to flip are the ones with minimal problems. Ones that can be fixed in a day or two, not a week or two. After showing him some flips I'd done where I hardly even worked on cars and still made just as much profit, it clicked for him. He'd been doing it all wrong. Now he honestly hardly uses his mechanic skills that he's worked his whole life on and is able to make thousands in profit on every car in less than a week. It's just so much easier to buy a car that all it needs is to fix the faded headlights, detail the inside and out, replace a part or two, and flip it. Then just move on to the next, flip another one. The whole process is about flipping cars quicker so you can keep the profit coming in. What I like to look for is easy fixes that make the car look better. Like if the car's all scratched up, polishing it is going to make it look brand new and will directly make the car worth more to the next buyer. It's something that's basically free to do and doesn't take much time. Engine lights can be a good thing to look out for as well. But don't buy a car with one that you aren't sure you can fix. Only buy cars you know you can fix. Otherwise, you're going to spend weeks trying or get stuck with a broken car. Now, detailing is the easiest one. I know people that flip cars and all they do is detail it and then sell them for $1,000 to $2,000 more than they bought it for. Yeah, I mean, you can make money doing mechanical work on cars, but it can be hard for people, and most of the flips I do that make the most money on, I barely end up doing anything other than a little bit of cosmetic work. It's not that I don't know how to do mechanical work, it's that even though I can, it just makes less money, so I have no reason to do it. But finding cars with minimal problems can be hard if you don't look out for the next thing. The fourth thing you'll want to look out for when buying a car is cars that aren't too new, but you don't want too old either. A general rule I follow is a minimum of 10 years, meaning only buy cars to flip that were made before 2017, and a maximum of 30 years old, so cars that are newer than 1996. When flipping a car that's newer, it's much harder to find them for a good deal, especially if you're trying to stick to cars under $5,000. People just want more for them, and most of them don't have many problems, meaning you aren't going to be able to negotiate the price as much. And if you end up buying it, you aren't going to have much to fix since it's almost new. And cars that are very old have so many problems, it's almost never worth dealing with. I had a 1990 as my personal car, and it was a nightmare. Every time I got it working well, something else would break. Everything needed to be replaced. All the hoses, the bushings, the suspension. It's just not worth it. The even bigger problem is that people know this, and they just don't want to buy these cars as much. They're going to be picky when buying it and act like it's a new car, pointing out all sorts of small issues. Sticking between buying cars that are 10 to 30 years old is the perfect spot for a nice flip car. It's where you're going to find the most deals and make the most money. So to keep things simple, have a repeatable list of things to look out for that you can follow for every car you buy. The ideal car would be one that is around the $2,000 to $3,000 range, has 140,000 miles, only needs cosmetic work and a detail, and was made in 2008. Of course, if there's a good enough deal, any of these requirements can be ignored, but I'd recommend that the majority of flips you do, follow them. So once you buy a car, you'll easily be able to fix it up quickly and sell it for a huge profit without having to wait weeks for it to sell. This will reliably make a ton of money on every flip, and you can do multiple in a month. The only thing you'll need to consider now is the price. If you can get it for a good deal, it's a no-brainer to buy. But the problem most people run into is actually finding that deal. So watch this video next to see exactly how I find deals and make sure that I know I'm making a profit before I even buy it. And as always, I'm wishing you a lucky day.